Hi, and welcome to the Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Shepard, and I have my co host here tonight.
And you could say my name.
His name is Thomas.
Dun, 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 dun.
Tomas.
How you doing, hon?
Good, good. You?
No, give me more than that.
Oh, my
Everybody always
word. I
says
know.
good, good. Well,
Oh,
we
well,
went-
I don't want to be the person that's always like tired. I'm tired.
Well, are you tired?
I am today. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a busy weekend.
No. This is something we've gotten in a habit of is asking people, how you doing? And I don't even think people really mean it anymore because
Well,
we're just like, we're good.
This is my
Oh, good.
question.
And move on.
Do you say like, I feel like if you're always like, good, great, then you sound like fake, right? But then if you're real, I mean,
Nobody asks you anymore because they're like, oh, if I ask them.
don't ask her. She's always tired. She's always busy. She's always, something.
Do you remember?
So what do you do?
Do you remember we had this one person years ago, and every
I
time,
can hear it in my head
do you know
already.
what I'm going to say?
I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm tired. It did not matter. Night, day, just got up or just going to bed. They always, how you doing? I'm tired. We used to say that for years with
say
each
that
other.
all the time.
And everybody's like, so who was it?
Who was it? Dun, dun, dun. Don't name drop this
Oh,
week,
I
though.
would never.
You
I would
can't.
never. Your mom would be so mad.
It wasn't you, Mom.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
No, we did have a good weekend, though. It was, the
Yeah.
weather's been beautiful. It's
It
been,
has. The last couple
like,
weeks have been
yeah,
amazing. June, now into July.
summer's been great.
Yes.
It really has.
I don't know about
It's been
y'all,
fun.
but for my wife,
Oh, no.
she
Don't
does.
tell on me.
No, it's good. It's a good thing. She does very well in sunny weather.
I
Your
can't.
sun just does a lot of good for you.
I'm a summer person. The winter is very difficult for me. I have seasonal affective disorder. I've diagnosed myself.
I was going to say, do you really
So-
think you do? Because I feel like you do.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know the actual diagnosis of that. Like, what are the metrics for, yes, you have it, no, you don't. I just saw it on a commercial one year and I was like, that's me.
I got that.
I'm so,
I have that.
I'm so sad in the winter. But yeah, I've self-diagnosed on that front and I'm sticking with it.
But it does, for some people, it does really affect. Like when we hit February, March
Yeah.
in the Midwest, it does
Oh,
affect
it's
you.
hard. Yeah. I don't mind. I love the fall. I don't mind like even the cold. I just can't stand like 2 solid weeks of gray skies and you don't see the sun, you don't see blue. I don't know. It really does.
It does.
It really does mess with
And
me.
even Indianapolis is not at, we have lived in places that have been
Dark.
very dark.
Yes.
Very dark.
I don't even mind a good rainy day, a storm. I'm into it.
Yeah, but after 2-3 days.
But then
it
I
start
get
hitting
like,
you.
I need the sun.
Not me. Like nothing affects me. I'm just
Oh
always eating.
my.
You said, oh my.
Okay.
Could you roll your eyes anymore
I
there?
tried. I got them all the way up to my brain.
I am just not moody. I am
Oh,
strong.
never.
Oh my word.
The sun doesn't affect you, but if the kids don't take their stuff up the
easy now, easy
stairs,
now. Oh no, that's true. The house does affect me, but we've already talked
let's
a whole
let's
episode
keep
on that.
going.
No, I'm in a good mood. I don't want to get in a bad mood.
Oh, my.
Well, I'm glad you're doing well. I hope our listeners, everybody who's
Yes.
tuned in, whether you are working out, on your way to work, on your way back from work, we've had quite a few new followers on YouTube, which has been super exciting.
Mhm.
And folks commenting on some of the first episodes we did a couple months ago. And so that's always neat to see people kind of just catching up and
Mhm.
digging into these series. And Carrie, we started this past week really talking about something.
Social
the social,
media.
yeah,
Social
the
media.
social dilemma is what we
Yeah.
called it, and it's gone very well. I think these are going to hit home with a lot of us because it's the world definitely that we live in.
Yeah.
And so we went over some of the pitfalls, and if you missed that, go back and listen to the episode previous to this. Just talked about some of the things like distraction and time management, the comparison
Comparison.
and envy that comes out for
Yeah.
sure. Then the spread of misinformation. We had quite a few people that wrote back and said, "This is a problem in my life. This is something that I'm working on." And so I hope you don't think we're trying to pick on any one of a particular generation. It is something that we all have to dig into and to be very careful.
Yeah.
And I will say this did not just start with social media. Misinformation has been around for a very long time. Even in the Christian realm, we hear something, we take it as a matter of fact, and this is biblical, this is scriptural, this is right, this is wrong, this is black or this is white. And a lot of times subjects are not like that. And so develop a type of IQ that can research a matter, can dig in. It doesn't have to be so quick to speak or quick to make up our minds. Do we not care make up our minds so fast on a subject?
Yeah, I was speaking with a friend today. We had coffee together and I was recommending some other podcasts to her. And I felt such a need to say, now I haven't listened to every single one, so this is my disclaimer. And she's a dear friend and a great lady and loves the Lord. And she was like, I totally get it. She's like, I know what you mean. Take it with a grain of salt. She's like, don't worry. But it's just, that's the culture we live in. Everyone's so hyped on association. Oh, you follow them. Oh, you listen to their podcast. You must agree with everything they say. And so I kind of felt that like overwhelming need to just disclaim anything, I've heard a few good episodes, but I don't know. And it's ridiculous. It's so silly that we have to do that because as adults, we should be able to understand, like, not every book you read or podcast you listen to or whatever might not be your cup of tea every single time, but it's okay. Chew on the meat, spit out the bones, as they say.
That's exactly right. This is where once again, several episodes ago, talking about listen, everyone should be reading, everyone should be growing, everyone should be, that should be our mindset, is to continually be able to listen to broaden our horizons, our circle, and you're not going to agree with everyone except for, I would say, two things: the Bible and the Forward podcast. Besides,
obviously.
Did you tell your friend about the Forward podcast? Was that one of them?
I said, well, number one, we're much closer than I had to tell her. She already knew and has been listening. Well, so I said, are you a big podcast listener? And she said, well, I know a really good one. The Forward. So,
there we go.
No, she knew, and she's been a huge support and
help.
She's
seen our billboards around town.
She's seen all the marketing we do.
Marketing, by the way, or did you get us up on TikTok this past week?
Well, no, I did not.
Well, several people are asking, are you on TikTok?
You know what I've been doing this week?
Okay.
Studying.
Oh, there we go. That's right.
Studying for my exam.
Carrie's got some big things coming up. We'll share it another time. But you pray for the Shepherd family.
But TikTok is back burner for a hot minute.
It can't be. We've got to get on TikTok. We're gonna bust into that.
Tonight we're talking about strategies of social media.
You just cut me right off there.
I don't want to focus on my lack of time management.
Let's move on. Okay, so we've spoken on the pitfalls. Let me just say this: there are some great helps for sure. It's not all bad when it comes to social media. So oftentimes what we do, adults, parents, oh my goodness, there's too much misinformation, there's too much bad, so we're off of it altogether and it's all wrong. And that's a bad side to take. There are some great helps. There's a positive side, absolutely, to
for sure. social
media. We'll take 2 minutes and kind of run through these, but I'll talk about the first one. The first is, really, it can build and strengthen a community around you. It gives you people with like-minded faith, hobbies, gives you a social network, a social group of people that enjoy the same things that you do. And for me personally, that's a community of faith believers. It's people that also believe in Jesus Christ. And so it's wonderful I'd say most of the time you can get on there and be encouraged being around other people who agree with the same things or love the same things that you love. What's some of yours, Kara? What's a help, a positive side?
I remember when we lived in West Virginia and I was on Facebook and I had just had the twins and I got on the, like twin seller site where everybody's reselling twin clothes and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And I made some really good friends. And I know that the Lord had that um, availability for me at that time because I didn't know how much I needed other twin moms. But it was such a blessing I just connected with them. They didn't go to our church. I wasn't really connected in any other way except we all had twins, but we would meet up and go for coffee and, take the kids to each other's houses. And so it can be so useful in a community setting. And I think the important thing is just to remember to remain neutral, not getting on there and giving loud and preferential opinions, but in using it for connection and using it for not just to spout your, ideals and your opinions about everything, but to first establish relationships with people. Sometimes we lead mouth first in this culture and we go in with our opinions and then, okay, I can be friends with whoever agrees with me.
Right.
Well, that's not really how Jesus did it. You establish relationships first and then slowly over time, you get to know what other people believe and you're able to kind of have that dialogue back and forth. So I really like it for using it backwards of what everybody does now, but establishing those relationships first within your community. It doesn't have to be just people you go to church with or just people you live next to. It can just be a group that you might have something fun in common with. So I think in this culture it can be useful for Christians.
Sure.
We can use it to encourage people.
Right.
We can use it to be that light, and within our culture use the tools that we have.
It's good. Community outreach, resources that are available to you. All these things are common.
Yeah.
Then, Carrie, you mentioned there at the end, it can be a very good support system and an encouragement to others.
Yes.
And that's the life that, Carrie, I feel like you and I want to live is our day to day, who we are. Why it's why we started a podcast. Really is to encourage people. No one has just, well, we have nothing to do, so let's just go be in ministry or let's just go start a podcast. We do want people to know, hey, there is a great life that you can have out there, a Christian life with a great marriage, raising incredible kids. Like there's so much doom and gloom, and there's so many other podcasts out there of people that I get it. There's a lot of people who have been hurt and go through tough things, but at some point we want to point people to looking ahead, pressing toward a mark, like forgetting those things which are behind, get the help that you need. But a lot of times social media, that's a great place to go, that you can be an encouragement and you can also receive the encouragement that you need. And so it's not all bad. Don't think it's all pitfalls. And so everybody get off social media. No, there's a lot of good out there too.
Yeah.
But where we want to kind of focus our time for the next couple of moments is just strategies. This is where not just, I think some of you are listening like, okay, then what do I do with my kids? How do I handle it? We have questions all the time. Every time we do a seminar, when did you give your kids a phone? When do you let them have social media? There's not an age that you could put on it. This is something you're going to have to pray through, but we're not necessarily dealing with just how do you raise your kids in a social media world, but how do we control it as individuals? If we can do our part first, that's going to be a massive step in those who are looking up to us or coming behind us. So we want to look at just some strategies of how to control social media in your life. Carrie, why don't you go first?
I think the biggest thing in this is just intentionality, controlling it and not letting it control you, which again, in this society and the culture that we live within, that's difficult. Americans are very impulse driven. I just read that our attention span is now down to a goldfish. We're at 8 seconds. 8-second attention spans. Did you know that?
Are you for real?
Absolutely.
My goodness,
Cited
so
in a book. I read it, not on the internet, in an actual book. Our attention is now down to a goldfish attention span, and that's adults. That's not kids. That's millennials.
I believe it.
And so just be the driver. It's a phone. It's not, your best friend. And I mentioned last time I got in the place where I was literally carrying my phone from room to room. And you feel like an addict. It's like, this is ridiculous. And so
Right.
once you see that in yourself, be the adult, be the example, and use intentionality. Understand that it can be a tool, it can be useful. And I use mine for recipes, for my workouts. I track my macros. I've even said I've used the Bible app before for devotionals. Those things are good and it can be a tool just like anything. But as we've said in our other podcasts, it's the excess of good things that becomes sin, and that becomes, even if it's not, sinful, it's a weight in your life, and it's something that is, not healthy for you. So I think intentionality is just a great rule of thumb. As far as kids go, this is my personal opinion. I would not set an age, especially like if we did it with even our kids. Okay, everybody gets a phone when they turn 13, say. But all our kids are different. Mm-hmm. So that might not be wise. For me, it's when is your relationship secure enough with your child to trust them to know how to use a phone? Like that. And again, that's my opinion, but that's the intentionality behind it. It's not an age physically, it's an age mentally, it's an age emotionally. But we have to be the examples of intentionality first. Right. We have to kind of lead that charge.
So let me ask you, so we don't just fly through these. And again, let's kind of talk about our generation and above. Where do you find, like, in your self-care, I'm not being intentional? I've gone too far. When do you feel like, because for everybody, I think it's going to be different, and we always give ourselves a get out of jail free card. Like, well, I know people who sit on their phones all day, and I don't do that, so I'm okay. Or, well, I only have Facebook, I don't have Instagram or TikTok or X or blah blah blah. So I think we always think, because I've only done this compared to everyone else, that I'm okay. So you're raising 5 kids, you're a pastor's wife, you work full time. Like, when would you say in your life do you feel like, okay, I've gone too far, I'm not being intentional with my use here?
Oh boy, again, it's almost a case by case basis. There are days when I'm on my phone a lot, but I am using it for things that accomplish my goals.
So do you think the opposite, when you're like,
when I start feeling like a goldfish, I'm done. Okay. If I'm turning orange,
hey,
if I can't go over 8 seconds,
I feel like I'm trying to lead you along to answer this question.
I feel like you're like being mysterious about your question.
I'm not being mysterious.
When I've gone too far?
Yes.
I feel leading the witness. It's like a law
objection,
term.
Your Honor.
Objection, leading the witness.
Here, let me write this down. Carrie, read this paper right here.
I feel like I already answered this.
Maybe I wasn't listening.
Right there.
It was longer. If it was longer than 8 seconds, I'm like, oh, what happened?
You zoned
Where
out.
are we?
You came back and tried to sound smart, and you're repeating everything.
Why do we have headphones on?
I said I feel like I've gone too far when I feel like a goldfish, when I can't pay attention to anything, when I'm carrying it room to room.
Right.
Did you remember hearing that part? Carrying it when I can't do anything without it. Like a popcorn brain, I constantly have to have something playing in the background. If I'm using it for tracking my macros, a devotional guide. Why are you laughing now? I'm repeating myself. That's why.
No, you're doing great. I love this. It's so
Get out of here. Again, I just think it's, those times you're using it with purpose and to accomplish something. I love it. But that is different for everyone. I think you just have to be an adult and know yourself. You are excused from this podcast, sir. Why are you laughing? Pull yourself together. You are such a goldfish.
Okay, we have to stop saying goldfish.
We should rename this episode.
Goldfish. Now I want goldfish.
No, I love those things.
Do you remember you used to bring? We have a lot of people that from Bible Baptist at Beckley who listen, and oh my word, I can't. I think it was Miss Luann Cook used to bring those huge things of goldfish.
They were like 5-gallon buckets.
But they would go so fast, and it was not the kids eating them, I'll tell you that.
It was me and Luann and Leslie in the nursery.
Oh, my
eating
word.
the goldfish.
So, yes, I do agree with you, Carrie. I see what you're saying. I think being intentional with our time is being very careful on social media, because we can get into this time wasting mode where we are scrolling through and it does no good. We're sitting there and all of a sudden 30 minutes have passed. We have not gained any knowledge. We have not added to our intellect. We have just allowed this time to be wasted.
Yes.
Looking at things that we can't have, people that we do not know. And this is where I'm trying to get at, that we've got to be very careful, because we jump on other generations. Well, we were young. We used to go outside and we used to build forts, and we used to, okay, I understand that and I get it. And we all work with our kids, but everyone who listens to this podcast know we waste times on our phone. We waste time, on our phone, no matter what your age. We've been around those who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s that will come in and not even talk. They'll sit in a corner. They'll scroll on their phone. So this is hitting a lot of people, that we've got a strategy for this social media dilemma. Is this: we have to be strategic in our use, intentional. That means there are those moments, yes, at the end of the day, we're all fried, we're done, we scroll for a little while, totally get it, totally understand, been there many times. But it's those moments where we're supposed to be productive, as the Bible says, redeeming the time.
Yes.
That means this: we're cashing it in. And unfortunately, we're all going to have to give an account of our life one day. And I think a lot of it we'll see then would have been wasted on just social media, just scrolling, shopping with money that we do not have. And it can get out of hand quickly. So
I know a lot of us are going to feel that way at the end of our lives, to look back and, to understand that. And we've all done it. Even before phones were invented, people had ways to waste time.
That's true.
But it is important to keep reminding ourselves, especially the further and further we go along in technology, and especially if you're a parent. But let's speak to this. I want to kind of open this next one up with something funny. I don't know if you've seen that meme, but it's a guy that says, TikTok's stupid. All it is like girls dancing. And then the other person is like, it's algorithm based, right? So
got him.
I read that and cracked up. I was like, that's funny. But it's true. So talk to us about curating your feed.
Yes.
And how, especially as Christians, as people that are to be exemplary, salt and light in this culture, and kind of leading the charge in morality, how do we curate our feed? How can we have self-control in that area?
I think one of the biggest things that we could do, here's a tip for everyone. I'll talk to us as Christians here in a moment. Here's a tip for everybody: is we need to start muting and unfollowing people. That means this: sometimes our algorithms do need to change. Remember, this is all AI. You can't run from it. It's been there. I know everybody's all scared to death, but it's been here for a very long time. And so we've got to start those feeds that are making us feel jealous, or the feeds that are making us feel negative. That at some point you've got to start muting. I am a pastor, and Carrie, we've been in ministry now, I guess, 18 years. And even for me, I have to be very intentional about some of the people that I follow. For instance, there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this. But over the last several weeks, there's been, in the Christian realm, there's been this one song that everybody's been arguing and talking about. It's a beautiful song, but it was written by so-and-so. And I have seen more posts written by 2 or 3 guys that are just arguing back and forth, and they pull in 80 other people who are arguing over this one, just literally one song. And I haven't posted anything. I haven't said anything. In my own mind, I think it's just absolutely foolish. It's a total waste of time. And But for me, I did. I went through and I started just muting these people. Like
Nice.
I don't want to see. I don't want to be pulled into this nonsense, this
Yep.
absolute waste of time. And
Yeah.
so, I think if we could do that more and more, it would
Mhm.
get rid of this. Let's argue over these colors. Let's argue over this. Let's be negative and mean towards these people. Let's jump on a conspiracy theory. And
Mhm.
next thing you know, you've wasted 2 or 3 hours doing research, arguing with somebody you're never going to see in person.
Mhm.
We have got to curate our feed in a way that we're being encouragement. I think we also need to be encouraged as
Mhm.
well. There's a really incredible Bible verse in Philippians that I use quite often, Carrie, when preaching out. And it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, honest, just, pure, whatsoever things are lovely, of a good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise.
Mhm.
The key wording here is think on these things.
Mm.
We've been called as Christians to think in a very light world, in a very positive world where there's so many people that are down and depressed, and
Mm.
politics have them down, the Democrats, the Republicans, and this and that, and all their whole mind, their whole feed, their social media is all tilted one way. And
Yeah.
I think we must begin to change that.
Mhm.
There's some people that I don't necessarily agree with doctrinally, but they are some of the most encouraging people. They let God's light shine. They're full of love. They're full of joy. They're constantly showing their ministries that are helping the homeless and feeding orphans in other countries. And then there's some people in my circle that is just tiresome, and they're mad and they're mean and they're constantly tearing the other brothers and sisters in Christ down. And so for me, I feel like as a family care, we have to distance ourselves. And at some point, you've just got to change that algorithm.
Mhm.
Start following people that are going to uplift whatever you're into. For me, it's my savior, and kind of pull us that way. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Absolutely. And I think the key here, which is ironically the key to almost everything in life, is balance.
Yeah.
You have to have, your social media is such a reflection of you. Just like going into someone's home, you can tell if they, what kind of era of decorating they were into, whether it's like dark academia or coastal or modern farmhouse. You can tell
Oh, wow.
what their tastes are. What?
Modern farmhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's a style.
Have you never seen Joanna Gaines?
Oh, is that modern?
She basically birthed modern farmhouse. The whole thing, it was a huge
Oh, wow.
movement.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
modern
do
farmhouse.
love, yeah, there's, I think, what's her husband's name?
Chip.
Oh, yeah, Chip, dude. That dude is
He is funny. Yeah,
hilarious.
I
I
love
want to meet
them.
him one day.
He is
Wonder if
really
they
funny.
listen to our podcast.
Oh, absolutely. She will now that I name dropped her. But you can just tell a lot about someone when you walk in their home because
Sure.
it's a reflection of them. And now we have that like in our pockets, on our
that's
phones.
so good.
You know,
I
we
like
have
what you're doing here.
you're
Keep
listening
going.
this time.
Amen. Preach.
Way to go.
Hurry, I have 7 seconds left.
But it is, and I mean, not everyone comes up and like takes our phone and looks at what we're scrolling at, but on your wall, on your Facebook wall, on your Instagram feed, on your stories, it's a reflection of what you love and what you care about. And so I think it's important to have balance there, to follow and to be so immersed, especially in our politics right now. It's crazy. There's like no one in the middle. But as Christians, again, we need to bring that that salt and that healing light to culture to where we have balance, even on our social media, that we're posting good things, but that we're also not head in the sand. The
Right.
Bible wants us to be sober, wise as serpents, gentle as doves. What's the word? Soft as doves, something like that. But it's being wise in this world and not having your head in the sand, but not allowing the truth of what's going on in our society to make you a partaker of those negative actions and thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
You can understand and acknowledge truth, and you can see it and watch it and follow those accounts, but you don't have to allow yourself to be so drawn in that you become the pessimistic, negative, and fear-based life.
Yeah.
Just like the accounts you're following.
Right.
We have to pull back against that, pull back against the fear-based living. But then the opposite is true too. When it's time to speak up for truth and when it's time to, stand up for morality and righteousness, we can't be afraid to do that either.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have that balance.
Yeah. I'm so glad actually you brought this out because I do. If we would have ended with what I said, everyone would have just taken this that you're only supposed to follow the good, the positive, and this, that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a balance, Carrie. You said that so. You said it perfectly that I feel like we need to learn when to engage.
Yes.
There are moments where I mean, right now, again, politically, the two men who are running for president, there's a lot of opinions out there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time to engage. Like every little thing that is said, and there's statistics that are run that it's just simply not true on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to know your audience. You got to know when to engage. For me, even with a lot of arguments over worship wars right now, I've just, it's not that I had to step back. Lord, do I engage here? Do I not? The Holy Spirit's going to guide me into what's going to help those who follow me.
Yes.
And those who are going to draw in. If I would have started to comment, then I think I'm right at probably 4,000 followers on Facebook that would have seen me comment, and then they're drawn in. And I think there's sometimes a tactic of Satan. But I love your balance that there are those moments that we do need to. We have to step up, allow the Holy Spirit to lead us. Like, hey, somebody's blaspheming, somebody's putting down. Carrie and I are very strong on some issues that our culture faces. And in those moments, yes, we do need to step up to the plate. And hey, actually, here's some great data. And in those moments, though, I think it's doing it with the right heart, the right attitude, and the right spirit. You don't have to be so mean and name calling and a bully and trying to be cute on social media so that you get the laugh. Remember, we do represent a higher person, and that's our God.
And Jesus had such an amazing balance of this in Scripture. If you study the New Testament, he was so masterful at picking the right moments. I mean, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and unto God that which is God's. Like he had no problem. Pay your taxes, do the things that are right, societally speaking, governmentally speaking, follow the laws, be a good citizen. But then when it came to things like, they're eating on the Sabbath and you would expect him after those teachings, you would expect him, oh, okay, yeah, we can't eat on the Sabbath. And what did he say? The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, right? And it was like, he just was so masterful at balancing between when to stand up for morals and for righteousness and when to just let the world have it.
Yeah.
Like that's the world's problem. You think of when he told the young man, let the dead bury their dead. Well, that seemed so harsh. But what he was saying was, you let the world do what the world's going to do. We have higher calling.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we think politically, and even, things like worship wars and music and all that, oh, it's our job to stand up for this. And it's like, that's the world's business. And it's not that we can't stand up and mention our politics or stand up for, the correct candidate or whatever, but sometimes we take it too far. And that becomes our goal and our mission. When that's something Jesus may have been like, let the world do the world's thing and give it to Caesar and you follow God.
Right.
And I think we get those backwards sometimes. So the best thing for me is I just love the life of Jesus. I mean, get a red letter Bible, open it up and read everything he said, and it will set you straight. Even if you don't understand it perfectly, even in association with social media, it can dig into kind of your heart and get your head screwed back on straight. And we have to do that from time to time.
Balance is not it. I heard one person say everyone thinks they're balanced. And that is so true. We so do. True. We all, there's not a pastor I know in the world that doesn't think they, including myself, have the perfect balanced church. They're over here, they're over here, but we're have the balance.
We're in the middle.
I think the only person that really did have that balance really was Jesus. He knew when to engage. He knew when, put the cord together and drive everybody out, with a whip out of, the temple, but then he also knew the moments of allowing John to lay on his chest and be that God of love. And so, Kara, I think you're right. It's having that balance in both. I want to give another one here just real quick, and that's this. This is something, Carrie, you and I have both started. It works very well. We need to continue doing it, and that's a digital detox.
Oh, my.
And that is taking... Well, you're getting one.
I know.
We got to start it up. Here we go. We've been on too much. This is just taking regular breaks from social media to reconnecting with God, and in a big way. Now, this is going to be weird for some, but reconnecting with a physical community that is around you. We are living like Sims. And we're living in worlds that are not physical. They're not around us. We've spoken several times, Carrie, about getting to know your neighbors, and we've done this more and more. We have a community pool here that the HOA we pay for, and we've gotten to know our neighbors a lot more. In fact, it was pretty cool. We had one neighbor that came up the other day. We were there and we were sitting there talking. He scared us. He came up behind us and he said, "Man, I really enjoy the podcast. We've been listening, and they've tried some new things," which was super encouraging.
Yeah, that was neat.
But that's the physical world we're talking about. There are those moments where we really do need a detox. That means get off for a little while, turn it off. Maybe I don't really like to use the word fasting too much, especially on here, because there's quite a few people who might not know what that is. As Christians, we do a fast, and there's people in the world that do, health fast and these things. But I think there are these detoxes of we just need to get off. I mean, I'm not talking about muting people, Kara. I'm talking about actually getting away, once again, getting to know your family, sitting around a dinner table. You do this more than I do, but I do love it. And Carrie will say, okay, turn off all TVs. We have a big TV kind of in our den, living room area. And I don't know, I like to have it on. And Carrie will say, turn off the TVs, or okay, everybody off your phones. And it takes about, a couple minutes, but once we detox for a couple minutes, we're all socially into each other, talking, laughing, communicating once again on that physical level.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I just heard of a family that every Saturday turns all their phones off. They have teenagers, but everybody does, and it's their day to stay home and rest.
That's cool.
They not that they can't go anywhere, but for the most part, they stay home, and the entire day their phones are off all Saturday. Yeah. They just read books, they talk, they make desserts, they just spend time together, play games, go on a hike, but their phones are off. And I love that idea. And I was thinking the other day about even when I was a kid, and we had phones in our homes, like a landline. There were, remember those?
I do.
There were times when something would happen that was important, or that was, sometimes even tragic, and we wouldn't hear about it. If we weren't home, if we were at Walmart, nobody had a cell phone, and we came home and we would have a couple voicemails, and it was, something urgent. But that was just life. Like even urgent things or, issues that people had to wait. And now us being on demand and on call for anyone and everyone that has our number, that is a big load to carry.
It really is.
That's a heavy burden to know that at any moment you are responsible to answer and to be accountable to someone that just decides they want to hear from you or need to talk to you. And I think it's important just once a week. I mean, shut all the phones off. What's going to happen? Like what? We're going to reverse 50 years and somebody might not get a hold of us. Well, I don't know. Like it just happens.
It's true.
And so I think that's a great idea. There's also, now this I'm cooking up, and I've dropped my little hints here and there.
Oh boy.
So I'm baiting the fish, baiting the goldfish.
Well, you had me at cooking, so I'm hungry right now. So what are you cooking?
I would love, I think, every January to go away for 2 days, 1 night, our family, rent a cabin, even just an hour or two away, and not even bring phones. Like just, I know, breathe. breathe, but not have our kids or us, and our kids aren't bad right now because only one has a phone out of 5, but just to have us all totally unconnected.
Wow.
For, a day and a half. I think that would be amazing.
That would, it's so funny too, because we think, oh my word, that would be so hard. And everybody who's listening to this, it is, because
oh yeah,
you can leave your phone at home, be 2 miles down the road, and you turn around and go back and get it. Like, we are glued to our phones. I've said this before. I got back to wearing a watch that you gave me 18 years ago. So I always have an Apple Watch on, and I've gone back to wearing just a regular watch. And it's so funny how many times I think I have a notification on my wrist, and it's phantom. It's not there. There's it's just a regular wristwatch.
Yeah.
But so we think, oh, a day and a half, that I don't know if we could do it. Isn't that funny that's where we have come to?
I know what you mean about those phantom notifications.
Right.
I ditched my Apple Watch 3 years ago, but I used to feel that. I wouldn't even have it on, and I would feel my wrist vibrate.
Yep.
And then same thing, because I stick my phone, I have a mini, so I have a really tiny phone, and I stick it in my pockets all the time. And I will sometimes feel it vibrate, and it's not even there. And it's like so weird. Our brains are just so used to that like constant stimuli of, notifications and alerts and all that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to detox. If you even start with just the mornings, I think that's the most impactful for me, is putting my phone in another room. For me, it's the bathroom, or even across the room, where when I wake up in the morning, it's not the first thing I grab and scroll. The first 10 minutes of my morning is scrolling, putting it across the room or in the bathroom to, where I have to actually get up and go get it. Just a few minutes I'm awake, I'm not rolling over and grabbing my phone. So if you start there, start detoxing by maybe just go the morning without it. Have your coffee and your prayer time or your meditation, whatever you do in the morning first, before you ever even open your phone. Or you could, do a 24-hour fast, whatever works for you, but doing something to challenge that addiction and kind of pull your brain back on a rhythmic basis once in a while, I think is really healthy.
Really good. I love that. The Bible says, be still, which is very hard to do.
It is.
Be still and know that I am God. And in the world in which we live, no one wants to be still anymore. Carrie, you and I
hate to be still.
We go 100 miles an hour.
I know. We
finally get a day off. Since kids have been out of school, 5-6 weeks in a row, we were either traveling on the road, here, there. You were speaking out. I spoke out. The kids had camp. Then we're up in Chicago. We did and finally, we actually did not feel great, but we got up the first day off. It's like, oh, finally got a day off. Like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Should we go hike? Should we go here? It's hard for us to be still.
It really is.
But in the world we live, we have to be intentional about be still. Pick up a book, get alone with the Lord, get alone in nature, walk around, get to know your neighbors. It's why Carrie and I just truly enjoy walks together, leaving a phone at home. Yeah. Those things are just vitally important. So there's some good, there's some great things, there's some pitfalls, but we really just in this episode really want to give you some tips that have been helping our family. Trust that they have helped you as well. Yeah. And anything you want to add there, Karen?
No, I think that's good. Just having that mental rest from a device is so helpful. And we hope this has helped you too, to kind of refocus and understand that everything can be a good tool, but the excess and the abuse of it can lead to addiction. It can lead to, a lifestyle that takes away your effectiveness in this world.
So true. So everybody, right now, we're going to give you something to do. Take your phone, go on social media, and share this podcast.
And then after that, detox.
You just put a little story on there, and we'll
feel like we're selling
drugs.
We'll
repost it. Then after that, you're going to be good. You're good. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Trust that we've been a blessing to you. If you have any questions for us, forwardpodcast@outlook.com. And hope to connect with you. We've met so many really awesome and new people out there. And keep tuning in, keep sharing, and we'll talk to you soon. I don't want to end with that, so let me say something else. It's so dumb.
As soon as you
we'll
said
talk
that,
to you soon.
Talk to you soon. I thought of Stephen Carlson. Our school administrator.
Oh,
we tease him. That's our phrase for him. Talk to you soon. Talk to you later.
He ended a entire Christmas cantata and said, was that what he said?
Yeah, he said, thank you for coming. Enjoy your evening. And it was like awkward. And he's like, talk to you later. Remember that?
So hang up the phone.
We teased him.
Well, how do we want to end this podcast? Go ahead, Gary. You
have
end
a great week.
Oh, let's try one more. Just joking. That's good. Okay, say it one more time.
Which one?
Have a great
week.